Oh, look, up in the sky. What could it be? Is it a bird? Is it a plane? It's a China balloon. What the hell is going on? Everybody's captivated by the balloons. And I say that with plural meaning. We're all captivated by the one we're watching here. But, I mean, what about the one that I believe is in South America? It's in Latin America? Yeah? So there's got to be others, right? It can't just be two. But anyway, it is another episode of Staying Super with SimplySuperDave. And, I had to address that one right off the bat. My whole opinion about it is, for one, I wouldn't have let it get into the country if I knew about it. And if we didn't know about it until it got to Montana, that freaks me out a little bit. But I do agree in not shooting it down for the simple fact that we obviously can't trust China enough to shoot it down because we don't know what's in it. So that kind of lets you know right there how we all feel. Because I don't think anybody would doubt that, right? I mean, we're talking about a country, and yes, we're going full blast on China today. Because why? Because I'm tired of the money and the power being more important about human rights. I'm tired about looking at a country that has blatantly mass populated itself, and in a certain fashion based on laws. Think about it, living in a country where you have to have permission to have kids, and you can only have certain type of kids. So I'm pretty sure genetically over there, they've worked that out already. So, because they've already pushed technology past the limits of any kind of human rights being considered, okay? They got billions of people, literally. I mean, it's the largest populated country on the planet. So, government is a needed thing in every country. It is a necessary evil that we must have. And unfortunately, in most countries, it's government over people, which puts the power of that country in the hands of the very few. Now, what does America have that's very unique to every other country on the planet? Now, there are some that have changed. Okay, but who established that? Who established people over government? That's right, the United States of America. Because of that unique difference of flip-flopping the two, government over people, people over government, is the reason why we have the very freedoms to be the little assholes that we all love to be. And I say that because I'm a very humble person. I realize that some people are going to hear what I say and it might make them upset. I feel like what I'm saying is just common sense. And when I say it with all the passion in my heart that I don't feel like there should be a divide in our country. Because look where we could be, folks. We could be China. Look, I just watched a great documentaries. I love documentaries. And it's on Generation X. Of course, that is my generation. I was born in 1974. I love that year. And just 11 years prior to the birth of the SimplySuperDave, JFK was assassinated within that time, because it was in the same month. Yeah, actually it was a couple days before my birthday. So every week I'm always hit with that, so it's always Thanksgiving, JFK, birthday. And I've always had that week off from everything. Going through school, you always get Thanksgiving week off. So it's always been a delight. But JFK has been a big influence in my life. Listening to his speeches, believing in his words. Now, questioning his actions, but every president, you have to do that. You have to criticize. Reagan was the same way. I think he might have been he was very influential because it was the 80s, and that was my teen years, my 10, through 20 years, or whatever, leading up to junior high and stuff in the 90s and high school, graduating, and in the mid-90s. So the 80s was a big part of my life, and the late 70s was too. So Star Wars was a big influence on me as well. The future of, when you're growing up at that time, you're looking at how life is and how life could be, but it's all based on the life here. So it's Star Wars from our perspective of how life must be billions of light years away, okay? They must have some form of government, an empire that most people are part of and they don't want to be, but they don't realize that they are the masses. But it always takes that small group of people, and I'm talking about the very few, that handful of people that can create a spark once they all start speaking together. And they're all saying the same message. And sometimes the message can be very simple, Why stand on either side when you can be in the middle? We are the country of the middle because we realized in this country that people should have their freedoms, but you have to have government to regulate everything. So, but they didn't want government to be in control of people. The very far extreme difference of that is China, and we're America. Now, a lot of people don't see it that way anymore, and that's very sad because it is very true. We keep giving away our freedoms left and right for false security promised to us. I don't know about you folks, but every day I wake up, I don't know what's promised to me from anybody for any money that I pay for, but or give up any freedom for. But no one chooses for me when this is my last day on this planet or not. So, with that being said, how can I believe that they're going to protect me if I get on a plane? They couldn't protect me then. I mean, you know what I'm saying? From 9/11, the security we gave up because we unified thinking we were going after the right bad guy. When we found out 20-something years later, wow, they really didn't know what the fuck they were doing. And I don't know about you, but I've always been told and was taught and always been remembered that you never trust government. And so to see us old society that really is so enthralled in politics like it's the biggest thing ever all of a sudden, which when you pray for things, you need to be very specific. For one, like me with luck, I pray for luck, but I didn't specify. So I get a lot of bad luck, okay? So when you pray for luck, be specific. I need good luck. Put that good word in there. Be positive. Find a way to even make your prayers a little bit more specific. When I asked for people to be more involved in politics, I should have been a little bit more specific. Because I didn't expect them to all split off to one side or the other. And that's what's happened. We have become very politically involved. Whether you cared about it or not, it is the dominating thing pushed by mass media. So obviously we talk about it. And if you haven't recognized the tragedies that have happened over just my lifetime since 1974 that's happened in China with people like me who wanted their freedom in a country that's been here way longer than any other country on the planet, mostly, besides the original roots. But their history, my God, So, they're an advanced civilization compared to our young country because we're still not even 300 years old yet. And I think they're in the thousands, if I'm not mistaken. If you want to, it's crazy. When you really look at human history, it's very complex. But look at just today. It should be a little bit forward, But this is what happens when government, small amount of people, control the masses. And even when the masses rise up, here's the key. Here is the key, folks, and this is why people over government matters in this country. Who controls the military? Oh, I know what you're saying. Politicians control the military, blah, 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 blah. I'm sorry, but I think I could speak for any military personnel when I say that somewhere in that group, there's someone in high-ranking positions that would put people over those politicians. Because the people control the government. So the people control the military. Always remember, that's why when government goes for defense spending and tries to cut things, don't ever support that. You always want a strong military, because if you want to walk peacefully, you walk with a big stick. It makes sense, folks. You don't want to be walking in the woods and a bobcat come running up on you and you got nothing to swing at it, okay? I'm just saying, you don't need a stick because you're an old man. You need a stick to protect yourself. Hopefully you never use the stick. You can whittle on the stick and make it look pretty, and you hope you never have to hit anything. And that's how you need to treat life. Whatever weapon you use. Most of us use our voices, so we never get to physical conflict. Right now, America is fighting for those freedoms, and it all depends on you. That's right, you. The very listener that's listening to this message, hopefully to hear it and spread it to someone else. To remember that every time your small part, your small little part, in November of every fucking year, every 2 to 4 years, we're all into it now, right? Is voting. And a lot of people have given up on it. And I get why. I mean, you can almost predict. I mean, you already know what your state, the electoral college. I'm sorry. I'm for popular vote. I'm for an ID. And what I mean by that is if you got a driver's license, good to go. If you got a state ID, good to go. You know, homeless people don't care. So I'm not going to push that on them. So, but if you don't have an ID and you don't show up, then you can't vote. I'm all for a digital voting system, but it's going to have to be encrypted as hell. But I believe in that. That's where technology should have went, where you can just wake up one morning and go, oh, the vote's here. Let me go through, pop, 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 cast your vote. But we're learning that we don't have any trust in the digital world, which is why I heard there is a political plan out there by somebody that wants to create a digital Bill of Rights. And then that would enforce being able to really take the digital world into the real world at a level that I don't want to open that Pandora's box. But we're already in Pandora's box, so we got to deal with it. And we can't let it keep separating us, making us think we're far right and far left. That's all bullshit. Nobody's far left and far right. Do you really see people out there? And the people that are out there, I don't know what level they're on. And I'm going after both sides here. I don't give a fuck which side you're on. It's insanity. The middle is always where it comes to. And that's why this country is great. Because we can, if we speak together about one thing, can make them do what we want them to do. We have all the cards, but they're convincing you don't. They're like, nah. They're bluffing that they got the King of Hearts when you got it in your deck, right there in your hand. We can't be fooled like that. And the only way to do it is in the voting booth. And if you're not willing to vote a third option, because I'm past the two. I don't even want to talk about red and blue. I don't want to talk about Democrats or Republicans. I'm not here to downgrade any of them. I'm looking at this as a whole. I don't care what side you're on. The overall picture sucks. What are you doing? All y'all do is sit there and argue, and you don't get anything done, but you print more money. This is making no sense. And what I mean by printing more money is because they say they're going to pay for their policies with future policies working out. You have a track record at failing more than I do. From one failure to another, you're a fucking failure, government. And you're failing big time right now. You're watching the people lose their homes, having to shack up with one another because they cannot afford the lifestyle that you're trying to push onto them. Get your corporations out of our feed farms. Quit trying to control and genetically change everything. We have, you know what? I brought up a brilliant point this morning about how the Industrial Revolution was probably the wrong way to harness energy on this planet. Because if you see the past and the ancient civilizations that we are digging up today, and figuring out, good God, how long have we been, what have they went through, what happened? Because obviously we mass populated this planet way before the history of what we know today. But we don't know much about it. We just know they were there. They left a lot of detailed inscriptions of their lives in rock with detailed precision. But where are all these things they used? I couldn't imagine if a Burger King foam container from 1988 is going to still be here, in 65,000 years or whatever they say, or forever, things that are going to be here forever. There's no remnants of those things. I mean, every now and then they find like a fossil of a screw in a rock that's 5,000 years old. I don't know about the actual factual thing about that, but brings to mind, really, if they did find something like that, that would just change my whole perception of human history if that was actually real. But is it real? Now, I question everything. So, but I tend to live in a world where I like to believe that, based on what we have found all over the planet, pyramids and all such, it just makes sense that ancient civilizations did exist, and we've gone through this before, and we will always go through it, because we are so dependent on power with electricity the way it is, that it just takes one big radiation blast in this galaxy to fry every circuit that we all depend on. And wow, talk about craziness. Anyway, yeah, China's bad. All that from a China balloon. But seriously, this country disappoints me in so many ways, because you have a whole billion-something people literally screaming at you that you're fucking up. But because the government controls the people, they have no choice, because when the military rolls in, the military does what the government wants them to do. So when you see them, and I'm serious, I have watched videos of them being locked into their own buildings. Like, they lock the outside doors where the people can't come out. And then they're standing outside for, if they do, somehow, then it's beat down time. It's like, what the hell are they doing over there? And imagine living that life. My last episode was, it was about the black hole, but also I did a bonus. I did my Army life. I talked about taking things for granted. As an American, I hope that your opinion, and when you walk out and you feel freely to say it, or if you want to live crazy or go home and dress as My Little Pony and prance around your apartment with your little dog, then I want you to be happy. I want you to do that. I don't care what you're into. If you wanted to, I could pick a lot of weird things. I just don't want to offend anybody, but you know where I'm going with it, right? So I love freedom. I'm an artistic person. I believe in just using that brain in so many different ways. A lot of people use numbers. I don't. I see things in lines. I see things in shapes and depthness. And I think about it a little bit too much. Which is why I'm here to talk about these things with you. Anyway, folks, I've watched a country misbehave, treat its people like trash. Check out 1989 or 1991. I can't remember which. I think 91 was Waco. But 1989, I think, was Tiananmen Square. It was a time of celebration where a bunch of young Gen Xers decided to uprise against their government. And they did a very good job. But it would be one of the most iconic pictures that have been burned in my brain since I was a young man. Because I was, I think, in high school at that time as a freshman, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe junior high. But I'll never forget seeing that young man stand before that tank with all his chest stuck out. He wasn't going to move. He had to be dragged away. So if you ever wonder, did the tank run over him? No. People eventually intervened. But it takes one single person to be brave enough to speak up. To just stand there and not move. Folks, we've already given up a lot, and I don't know if we can reclaim all that. but you simply just don't have to move anymore. If anything, try to take a step forward. We have the power here, and you need to be reminded of it. And the middle is the only way it works for everybody. So stop being selfish. Stop thinking your side is right. It is. But being too right can make you the villain. Sorry, folks. A little hate and fear is conquering our world right now in the political spectrum of things, and that's not what it's about. It's about being happy. It's about loving one another. It's about getting along. So all I gotta say is go be a conqueror with that love and laughter. Because that's the only thing that conquers hate and fear. Have a wonderful Saturday. SimplySuperDave out.